Hi, I'm Tom Miggott from Tom Miggott Photography. Benjamin Franklin once said that he conceived that a great part of the miseries of mankind were brought unto them by false estimate they have made of the value of things. Well, we do know that this passion we have for photography, for making photography, has a cost and comes with a budget. We've seen how to choose the first DSLR, how to choose the first lens, and even with a guest on whether or not you need the most fancy camera in order to produce fancy work. But there is one thing that we never covered in the past, and is how do you actually secure what is the most valuable thing to you photography-wise? Now, I'm not going to be talking to you about insurances here, and I'm not talking to you about your 5D Mark III or your Canon or your Nikon 800, 8000 or whatever. No, I want to talk to you about what's really the most important thing to you at the end of the day, and that is your work, your photographs. So how do? You take your shots, you go home, you put your disk into your computer, you copy your work onto your computer. But is it enough? Does that stop there? I mean, surely we have an advantage today in the digital world comparing to film. In the film days, you would have your film, you would print them, you develop, you print them, you would have the rolls, you would have the prints. All that would take some space, but the film was still fragile. Your negatives were still fragile. Well, in the digital world, the good news is that you don't need to print to actually see your work. You can see it right away. The other advantage is that you can actually store thousands and thousands of images on a single card like this one. But this card is as fragile, well, not as fragile, but it's still fragile. Your computer is still fragile. There is a saying in the computer world that is that data does not exist unless it is present in 3 different places on 2 different locations. So I repeat this. Data does not exist unless it is in 3 different places on 2 different locations. So what does that mean? Well, it means that your photography, your photographs do not exist unless they are in 3 different places on 2 different locations. What does that mean? Well, let's say you take your pictures, you bring them onto your computer. That's one place. Is it enough? What if one day your computer fails? It fails you. Then it's most likely you're going to lose all your work. So you need to actually back up your work, and that's when you're going to rely on an external drive or USB key. And so you have an external drive, let's say. So now your most valuable things are on 2 different places, your computer and your external drive. What if, and I know it's if, but it's this if concept today. What if the day when your computer fails you and you lose that hard drive and you're going to rely essentially on this one, what guarantee do you have that at that particular moment that drive will work? How much reliable do you think this drive is? Well, you're going to say, Tom, you're a bit paranoid today. Well, yes, I am. Don't forget, those are the most valuable things I own photography-wise. They can't be replaced. So I'm going to start introducing a backup of a backup, right? So I have this one, it's going to be a backup of this backup. So now we have our data, our photographs, the most valuable things we have on 3 different places, 1, 2, and 3. But then the saying had a second part, which was on 2 different locations. So what does that mean? Well, that means that where do you actually keep your external hard drives? Well, next to you, the computer, because it's simple. That way I can actually do the backup. Yeah, but what if, once again, what if wherever you have your computer in your house, your office, imagine that for some reason there's a fire or a flood and you lose everything. Well, then you're left with nothing, right? Obviously, if you lose your house, well, you think, okay, pictures are not that critical. But yes, they are. You can change the house, but you can't change the pictures. So what if you actually take one of the external drive or all the 2 external drives and put them in different locations? At your home, at your parents' house, for example, at your friend's house, at your summer house. And if you don't have friends, summer house or family, put one in your car. And that way, if something wrong happens to the car, well, you have it at home. If something happens in the house or your office, you have it in the car. And that's how you have your most valuable things stored in 3 different places and on 2 different locations. So why do I want to talk to you about this today? I'm not feeling mellow, it's just because recently I was faced with a problem regarding my storage. I ran out of space. As you can see, I have multiple hard drives and have others laying around here, and I've been relying on those for years now, and a different backupping system like Time Machine on the Mac, which I recommend. It's brilliant. But I was tired of buying more and more external hard drives. Okay, the prices of hard drive have gone down. That's, thanks God, but I got enough. I wanted a box where I was not going to be the one duplicating, doing the backup of backup. And there are such a thing. In the geeky world, we have different mirroring system, redundancy strategy, and failover strategy. You can use the RAID, for example. And I wanted one of those. And my other requirement was that I wanted this to be plugged to my network, because I wanted to be able to access the data, whether I'm using my main machine or my laptop, my iPhone, my iPad, or whatever computer I have in the house. So suffice to say that usually when you rely on network drives, as it's called, they tend to not be that performant. So you might not want to use them for your main, to work directly of them or onto them. But I first bought one. It was cheap. That was from, well, rather cheap, from Western Digital. It had 2 drives in it, and I tried it, and the drive was just too slow, and I brought it back to the shop and got my money back. So then I was left with other options, and 2 brands came up, and the first one was Synology, and it was suggested by some of you guys as well when I had a Spreecast. And I looked at Synology, and it's pretty great. Price-wise, it's all right. The problem with it is that it seems to be a bit cumbersome when something goes wrong with it. And although I've got a computer engineering background, I didn't want to use that background when the most valuable things to me is at jeopardy. So I didn't go for Synology, and instead I went for one of the favorites, what is considered as a favorite among photographers nowadays, and it's Drobo. And that's what I want to show you today. So here's what I have on the desk here. That black box is the Drobo 5N. 5N, and N stands for network because it's plugged directly onto the network. It only has an Ethernet socket at the back. You have the 5D that has 2 Thunderbolt and 1 USB 3 socket. So what is it? Well, it's basically a box. So let me remove the cover here. A box which will take up to 4 drives. Right now I have 2 drives here, and the good news with the Drobo is that it doesn't matter what brand you use for the drive, it doesn't matter the speeds of the drive, you can mix them up. You don't need to as you can see, you don't need to fill the Drobo in order to use it. You can have mixed sizes, mixed writing speed, but obviously for performance reasons you may want to use the fastest one. And it's a brilliant solution. In terms of the instruction manual, this is all you get. Here, it's color-coded. It's green, it's good. Orange, you may need to add a new disk because you're running out of space. And red, there's a problem with the disk. Remove it, put another one, and it works. So really fantastic solution. You don't have to stress too much about it, or not at all. There's actually a slot underneath it for an mSATA drive, which is an SSD, which is a very, very fast hard drive, the one you have in the iPhone, iPad, and other Mac computers. So which is really great. It's going to improve the writing speed and the reading speed of small documents, and that's really, really great. I've been using it for months now, and I must say, I cannot recommend it enough. The great thing with Drobo as well is its warranty. It comes with 2 years warranty, and if something wrong was to happen with the box itself, not the hard drive, but the box, you could actually send your box to Drobo. They would send you a new one, and so you could carry on using it. If you go for the extended guarantee, which is 3 years, then they offer a next day delivery for a new Drobo box. So they don't even wait for you to actually ship this one. They will send you one the very next day. You will have it the very next day, and then you can send yours, and that way you can keep using your Drobo and access your data. So really brilliant system. In terms of using it as a main storage unit, as I said earlier, this is I've got a fantastic setup in my house. I'm relying on the fastest cable that I can get, and really, really powerful. And my workflow is I take my pictures and I import them using Lightroom directly onto Drobo. So my catalog has to be on the computer, but all my images are on the Drobo, and I'm working directly onto the Drobo. And I must say, there's absolutely no performance issue whatsoever. It's fast, and I'm doing Photoshop as well, building my TIFF files layout and so on. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. So really I recommend it. So going back to the famous saying that we referred to initially, I have my data, my photographs are now stored on two different places, and I have this external hard drive which has a third place. And now the location, well, I have a copy of that hard drive at the office at Adobe, and what I do is every time I go to the office, I would actually do a copy here when I'm at home, a copy of that hard drive, go to the office, leave that hard drive at the office, take the drive at the office and bring it back home. So every time I go to the office, I basically swap my drives. So that way I have my data, my most crucial valuable photographs stored on 3 different places on 2 different locations. So that is my backup strategy. This is how I feel secure at the end of the day. So what is yours? Do you have one? If you don't, have I inspired you? Because really this is a very crucial matter, very important to you to think about it. So I really look forward to reading your comment. Please use the comment to tell me what your strategy is, and any questions you may have on a drawable or anything else, please put it in the comments and I'll respond. So until then, this is Tom Bigot saying, if you like it, well, capture it and please, please, please back it up. Ciao.